Deep in the forest of Yoruba land, there's a tree that you cannot miss. It's fat, tall, broad-shouldered, and it sinks broadly into the ground. Beside this tree is a spirit called Egbere. Adeni was only 17 when he first met Egbere. It was not as if he went out of his way to meet it. What had happened was that the boy had a life filled with so much suffering. His mother, Ajike, had gone against the wishes of her parents and married a stranger. Ajike in her prime was very beautiful. She had dark chocolate skin that the villagers compared to camwood. Her teeth were porcelain white and they shone through when she smiled, and her body was lush with a skin honey-colored and bright with palm kernel oil. Ajike was a beauty and everybody knew that. Mama's house at the time were filled with suitors who wanted to marry her, but no, Ajike rejected suitor. It was not like the girl was proud. She often said she wanted a man, but not only a man who had beauty and wealth, but a man who also had a kind heart. It seemed like the only men who courted Ajike only had bad intentions, because she just couldn't find any man she wanted. Not until one day. Ajike was in the market when a stranger came on a beautiful white horse, and everybody stared at him. He was the most handsome person that Ajike had ever seen. Ajike's people were suspicious of strangers, especially Ajike's father. What does that man want to do with my daughter? Where does he come from? Who are his people? But Ajike had found the person that she was going to marry, and there was no way that she was going to let him go. At the next market day when the stranger came, he told Ajike that he was going to marry her, and that next time he came around, he would bring his people and take Ajike away to his land. Ajike's and Habu got married, and they lived in happiness and harmony for a while at least, before Ajike got pregnant with Adeni. "Dear wife," Habu said one day, "I'm going to our village tomorrow, and I would like you to come with me before this child comes along." Ajike then, who was getting dressed, did not hear him properly. "What do you mean, Habu?" she asked. "I said what we have to leave before you deliver your child," replied Habu. Ajike was stunned. What was it? Why are we leaving and where are we going? She asked. But her usually cooperative husband only gave her one-word answers. "To my place, my village, tomorrow," he repeated when Ajike asked. As the reports of her husband's village were not known very well to her, she became scared for her life, and in the middle of one night, she packed up a few belongings in a duffel bag, and off she went back to her home. At dawn, she heard a knock on her door. "Ajike, it's time to go," said Habu. "What? How had that man gotten here so fast?" She was afraid. "No, I don't think I'm coming with you," she said. Habu knocked again. "Ajike, it's time to go." "No," replied Ajike. "Nothing will make me leave my father's house today." Habu knocked again and again, but Ajike was no longer answering. Finally, Habu said, "Ajike, if you don't come with me, you will need me one day, and when you do, you will not be able to find me." Ajike was a little bit confused by these words, but she just ignored it. She was not even interested in seeing him anymore anyway. Who knew what the man planned to do for her with her in his village? Soon after, he left, and Ajike sighed in relief. She enjoyed being back home. Her mother made her all her favorite foods. She played with her old friends and generally enjoyed being taken care of. She soon had her son, Adeni, and no mother loved the child as much as Ajike loved her son. He was a happy child who smiled a lot, rarely cried, and slept soundly. But something strange happened soon after Adeni's birth. It started with the gold spoon that Ajike's mother gave to her grandson on his naming ceremony. The gold spoon was a tradition that Ajike's family usually gave to their newborns, something to symbolize a life that was filled with wealth. Yet on Adeni's naming ceremony, Ajike suddenly found herself looking for the gold spoon. They could not find it. This was a bad omen, but no one knew what to do about it. From that day that the spoon got lost, strange things began to happen to Ajike's family. Whenever they left money in a place, the next day the money would disappear and they would never be able to get them back, and anything of value was suddenly lost and gone with no amount of search done to turn up the item. This event started to scare Ajike's father so much that he had to consult an Ifa priest. The Ifa priest was an old man, a wise man who had knowledge of the metaphysical things. He wasn't himself sure why, but when he cast his Ifa on the ground, he told them that the problem was that Ajike had something that belonged to somebody else, and that until she returned whatever item this was, this money and gold and whatever things that symbolized wealth would not be able to stay wherever she lived. He told Ajike's father, it's either Ajike leaves your house or anything that he touches, he will, until the item is returned, wherever Ajike stays and whoever she stays with, she will render them in poverty. Ajike's father was shocked by this news. Who has ever heard of something like this? His precious daughter and his precious grandchild. Should he kick them out just because of money? He thought and wondered, but he knew that no matter what happened, he could never kick his child out. So he sent emissaries to nearby towns with pictures of Abu. Have you seen this man? Help me find this man. Yes, no matter how far and wide the king searched, Abu was nowhere to be found. In this time from Adeni's birth, in this time that the king searched, the family soon became impoverished. It's true that even the most abundant wealth is fickle and can disappear at any time, and so it was that 17 years had passed from the time that Adeni was born. The kingdom had lost all of their riches. The old palace was now falling apart and held only by mud walls. Most of the people who had thrived on the land had soon left, so that only a few people remained. Those ones had heard that their newfound poverty was due to Ajike and her son. They were angry at the king. They reminded him of how they had told them that they were suspicious of strangers, and how they had all warned Ajike not to marry one, but she had refused. This was the outcome now, and now they had to bear it. They were angry at him. They wondered then again why he would not just leave his daughter to find the husband by herself. So most of them had left the town years ago and settled in other villages. The town that was previously known as a town of wealth was now known as this town of poverty. No one who lived there could make any money, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not make way. On Adeni's 17th birthday, something strange happened. The market that no one had visited, when they saw a stranger, appeared to them. Some of the people who were older thought that a stranger resembled how Abu used to come all those years ago, but they did not think anything of it. But the stranger walked up to the center of the marketplace. He asked for directions to the palace. "I'm here for Adeni," said this tall man when he got to the palace entrance. The king and the queen heard the commotion of the townspeople and wondered what the problem was. "Who are you and what do you seek, my son?" "But why do you seek my son?" asked Ajike when the stranger got close. "I have a message from his father," said the stranger. "He has asked me to bring him with me. Are you going to release him?" Ajike wiped her eyes and stared at the strange man. It was a hard decision to make. How could she leave her child with this stranger when she could not even live with the father? "Stranger, I know you may mean well, but how am I to know you? I don't know your name, where you come from, or anything at all about you. Yet you are here asking to take my child." The stranger only shook his head and repeated, "I have a message from Adeni." They had all warned Ajike not to marry one, but she had refused. This was the outcome now, and now they had to bear it. They were angry at him. They wondered then again why he would not just leave his daughter to find the husband by herself. So most of them had left the town years ago and settled in other villages. The town that was previously known as a town of wealth was now known as this town of poverty. No one who lived there could make any money, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not make way. On Adeni's 17th birthday, something strange happened. The market that no one had visited, when they saw a stranger, appeared to them. Some of the people who were older thought that a stranger resembled how Abu used to come all those years ago, but they did not think anything of it. But the stranger walked up to the center of the marketplace. He asked for directions to the palace. "I'm here for Adeni," said this tall man when he got to the palace entrance. The king and the queen heard the commotion of the townspeople and wondered what the problem was. "Who are you and what do you seek, my son?" "Or why do you seek my son?" asked Ajike when the stranger got close. "I have a message from his father," said the stranger. "He has asked me to bring him with me. Are you going to release him?" Ajike wiped her eyes and stared at the strange man. It was a hard decision to make. How could she leave her child with this stranger when she could not even live with the father? "Stranger, I know you may mean well, but how am I to know you? I don't know your name, where you come from, or anything at all about you. Yet you are here asking to take my child." The stranger only shook his head and repeated, "I have a message from Adeni's father. Are you going to let him come with me?" This time Adeni, who was playing, heard the man's voice, and before Ajike could reject it, he shouted, "Yes, I'll come with you." He reassured his mother. "Don't worry, mommy," he said. "I promise I'll come back to you." And so, with tears and sadness in her eyes, Ajike said goodbye to her son. And Adeni asked the stranger for some time to pack. "Don't worry," said the stranger. "My bag has everything you need." "How about some food?" asked Adeni. "Don't worry," replied the stranger. "My bag has everything you need." "Clothes?" "Don't worry," repeated the stranger. "My bag has everything you need." Adeni was a little bit scared, but she had started to get used to Abu's people by now. She worried what sort of bag the stranger carried that would carry those amounts of supplies. The boy, Adeni, and the stranger proceeded on foot. Adeni wondered at this stranger, who did not talk a lot. He only replied in short answers. He had no idea of where they were going. They proceeded on foot until they left the town border. Whenever Adeni was hungry, he would ask the stranger for food, and the stranger would provide a feast from his backpack. If he needed water, the stranger would give him drinks. If he needed somewhere to sleep, the stranger would remove a mat from his back, shoes to wear, anything he wanted. The stranger seemed to have it. His companion only had one rule though: ask for whatever it is that you want and do not look into my bag. The two journeyed for many days and nights, and when it was almost the 30th day, they finally came to a forest in the middle of nowhere. The stranger tapped on the tree trunk 3 times and opened his backpack, and before you know it, it was a village town with the strangest humans that Adeni had ever seen before. Some had 4 legs, some had 2 heads, one man had 4 jaws, and there was a woman who walked on her 2 hands like a frog. Adeni was terrified. "Where is this? Where am I? I want to go home," he screamed. He even searched around for the stranger who had bought him, but he was nowhere to be found. The beans were everywhere, and there was no one who looked like a human among them. At the center of the town was an old tree. Carved into the body of the tree was an old man. His hair was made of tree trunk, his skin was bark, and his feet were the roots of the giant tree that spread out and sank themselves into the earth. Then he wondered if he could walk. "Quiet!" shouted the tree man. And with that, all the noise in the village went silent. The man focused his 3 eyes on Adeni among the crowd. "Come closer, human," he said to Adeni. "Come on." Adeni was terrified. All his instinct told him to run, but for some reason, His body brought him only closer to the man. When Adeni was close enough to the tree man, he gasped because he felt exactly like looking at the mirror. He knew this man, even if he had never seen him before. There was something familiar about it. The tree man smiled as if reading Adeni's mind. At his smile, Adeni knew that was his father. "My son," said the tree man. As he said that, the wood creatures erupted into cheers of joy and welcome. Some pumping Adeni's hands, shaking his hands, and making bird sounds and making trilling sounds that sounded exactly like woodbirds. Adeni did not know what to make of this joy, and he was still a little bit terrified of the strangers. The tree man introduced himself as Abu and told Adeni the story of how he met his mother. He couldn't stay because he was the king of his own people, and his mother had never been satisfied with him living among humans, which is why he had to leave her. He then told Adeni that he had sent for him because he was getting older and Adeni had to rule. He wanted to teach him the ways of the tree people. Adeni was sad because he did not want to leave his mother and his grandmother, who had promised his mother to come back. The tree man then told Adeni that he shouldn't worry. He had a reward for his grandparents because they had not put him out, instead choosing to leave wealth because of their grandson. He would leave them with wealth as well. He then gave Adeni a seed from the Haji tree and told him to go back home, that when he got home, he should go to the middle of the town square, sprinkle some water on the seed and plant the tree there. He said that when the tree grew tall enough, anyone from the town who wanted to could have some wealth whenever they went to the tree to ask for it. All they had to say was, "Tree of wealth, give me some wealth," and the tree would give it some. Adeni was very happy with this. He soon set off for the journey back home, where he arrived to see his mother and grandparents, still a little sad for his loss. However, while Adeni had seemed to have been journeying for months and years on end, to his parents, he had only been gone for 1 hour. Meanwhile, Adeni had seemed to journey for what seemed like years. He consoled his mother and reassured them that he was fine, but that he would have to leave to rule his father's kingdom. He also planted the tree like his father had told him, and told his parents and grandparents the word to say whenever they wanted some wealth. He assured them that the tree would always give enough in whatever form of currency the person needed. The wise king then told the rest of the town, the loyal ones who had stayed behind. He told them the secrets of the wealth and how to get money from the money tree. Now it was time for Adeni to leave his mother, and it was teary. He said, "Mother, don't be sad or cry for me. Your journey was not without its meaning. Although it may look like it was rough, but it brought me here, so you should not be sad." He then promised to always visit, that he could bring her back with him to visit whenever he could. The mother and son said their farewells, and Adeni left. Soon after that, the money tree grew in leaps and bounds, producing more than enough for the city of poverty. The town, which used to be known for its poverty, soon became the town of wealth. All those families who stayed behind became wealthy and prosperous, and even strangers who came to live in the town soon benefited from the wealth. The wealth of the money tree did not diminish, no matter the amount of wealth it gave, and as long as people remain generous, kind, and giving, it would forever remain flourishing. It's still said that the tree thrives today and is in the middle of Yoruba land. If you want some as well, all you have to do is tap it on its trunk 3 times and say, "Oh money tree, give me some of your wealth." That's fine. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to our channel.